Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all enjoyed the break. So, shortly we'll be beginning our second play by FAP, which is known as The Coffin is Too Big. So, what's the story about?
Okay, so the second play, The Coffin is Too Big for the Hole. Okay, it's a story about a granddaughter who recalls the bizarre happenings at her grandfather's funeral. So in this play, the family arrives at the burial site only to realize that the coffin is too big and the hole is too small. So as the granddaughter tangles with authorities over what to do with the coffin, what ensues in this brief monodrama is a powerful analogy for the Singapore's restrictive bureaucracy, its growing homogeneity, and what it means to be of a standard size. Okay, yeah. So without further ado, we will welcome FPP for their second act.
The coffin is too big!
And the hole is too small. Try.
Every year, around the time of grandfather's death anniversary, this memory keeps coming back to me. It is the funeral. My grandfather's. We were all at the cemetery, all my folks. My husband, my kids, my brothers, sisters, cousins, and their kids. There were so many people there that I couldn't say for sure who was a relative and who wasn't. You see, my clan was so big that they all started to drift apart after they got married, one after the other. Grandfather was so very cross at first about the breaking up of the extended family. We all used to stay in this big house together, and it had so many rooms that we could accommodate at least 50 people. But when grandfather died, there was only my family still living there. Oh, as well as 2 other servants, the old servants who had been with him from more than 50 years ago. So you see, do you understand why grandfather got angry? Yeah, it's no wonder that he did. So yes, the funeral. The coffin was too big. It was so big that we had to hire so many coolies just to lift it off the funeral coach to the grave. But the problem was not so much the weight, although it was really heavy, all right. It was so damn heavy that it nearly dropped it to the ground and just lifted off the coach. And the men from the family had to go over and save it. Can you imagine how embarrassing that would have been if the coffin had fallen and busted open in front of all these 200 people, most of whom we did not know? And you'll see my deceased grandfather lying there looking at everybody. Oh. That imagery. No. Just no. Thank God we managed to save the coffin. And the lot of us, we carried it over to the grave. But as the men were carrying the coffin, inside actually, they were so full of curses. Why grandfather had to have such a big, heavy coffin? And why the damn coolies were not strong enough to bear the weight of it? But then again, that comes as no surprise. Most of them were just opium-smoking addicts out there to make a quick buck when the coffin needed to be carried. I'm sure that they did not know how heavy this thing would be. But as the man carried, I think that actually they were feeling proud too. At least I did. How many people had the honor of having a grandfather being buried in a coffin that is so rare, so refined, so solid, polished, grand, and big? Right? Right. So anyway, as I was saying, the problem was not so much the weight. It was the size! Well, I understand that size matters, but to be so big, bigger than the hole! Oh gosh, can you imagine it? That the coffin of your grandfather is so big that it cannot fit into the hole that was specially dug for him on the day of his funeral. Gosh. We were speechless, you know. We were literally stunned. We all found it so funny. It could almost have been the funniest thing that had funeral history of mankind. We had invested so much time and energy and emotions and money into this grand funeral that so many people had come to see. And what happens? The hole is too small. The coffin is too big. They didn't fit. They did not fit! You know when something is so big that it cannot fit into the hole? So frustrating. So, anyway, we stood there and we all looked at the coffin. Looked at the hole, and then we looked at each other. But nobody dared to make a sound. Nobody dared to laugh. Although I think they all found it so funny, but nobody dared to laugh. I mean, if this was a member of your family, and he couldn't be buried into the hole, if this was your father, or your grandfather, or your granduncle that could not be buried, what would you do about it? Tell me, what would you do about it? Would you take his body and dump him into the hole without his coffin? Or you take the entire coffin and you go bury it in some other cemetery? Or come back another day when the hole is made bigger? You see, such a serious situation. How could you possibly laugh? In that moment, I really felt so much more like crying, you know. So emotional. I was the eldest granddaughter. I was in charge here because my father and his brother, they had all gone before my grandfather. I was the head of the family. How could I cry? I couldn't. I had to do something. And so, I called over the funeral parliament in charge. Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is the hole so small?
SQ.
What are you doing?
Ma'am, I think the hole just nice and not too small. It's the coffin, this one too big.
What? I was so furious. This is my grandfather being unable to be buried into the ground, and this damn funeral parliament is trying to talk to me about relativity. Whether the coffin is too big or the hole is too small. What is the difference? The problem is that they didn't fit, right? My God, I was so angry. I really wanted to boil. So emotional. Couldn't get angry. Everybody was watching me, waiting for me to make a decision because I was the head of the family. Okay, never mind whether the coffin is too big or the hole is too small. Now, the problem is that the coffin cannot fit into the hole. Tell me, why didn't you measure it properly?
But ma'am, this one standard size. We didn't know that your grandfather's coffin, that's the problem. It's going to be so big. And to tell the truth, I've never seen such a grand and big coffin until this day. Very nice.
Okay, never mind. Everything is fine, everything is good. Just go and dig the hole bigger.
Cannot be done, ma'am. Cannot be done.
Cannot be done?
Cannot be done.
Why not? Are you trying to tell me that you're so lazy that you're not going to dig this hole bigger, even though this is what you're getting your salary for?
Ayo, ma'am, it's not that I'm lazy, ma'am, you see. But you have to understand, if I'm going to dig the hole so big, right, as to get your grandfather's coffin, the walls of the next grave might collapse. That'll be very bad. You have to understand, I need to work according to the standard regulations that's given to me. I need to work according to the standard size, you see. This one here, No two graves for one plot of land.
Who said anything about two graves? One man, one body, one coffin, one grave. So logical. Not just double the size.
But ma'am, that's impossible as I've been trying to tell you. You can't become You see all the graves in the cemetery that we have. You see this one over there? That one over there?
Which one?
That one over there?
Which one?
You see, they are all the same size, ma'am. No two graves on one plot of land. Everyone's standard size.
Okay, fine. Since you're so smart, you tell me what I should do about this situation. It is not acceptable.
I know, ma'am. How about you change to a smaller coffin? You see here? We have a wide range of coffins for you to choose from. You see, we have small ones, we have big ones, we even have teakwood ones.
Stop!
Very, very lasting.
Stop! I already have my coffin. What I'm asking from you now is for another plot of land. Why can't you seem to get that into your tiny head?
But ma'am, that's really impossible as I've been trying to tell you, you see. Rows upon rows of graves, as far as your eyes can reach, right? But do you see any one of them sitting on two plots of land? Man, you really must understand. I really cannot help you. There are no room for exceptions.
It was so obvious to me that this young funeral parliament was at its wit's end. But was it going to be mine too? In that moment, I really felt so. And I could feel myself starting to get so stressed. I mean, what am I going to do about this situation? How am I going to solve this problem? But in this moment of crisis, somehow or another, the sight of grandfather's coffin became my strength and my inspiration. I felt like as if it was talking to me, telling me not to give up on this big and grand old thing. And so, my mind was made up. And I resumed my confident self again. Come, we shall go and find the officer in charge and see what we can do about this situation. My dear relatives and friends, ladies and gentlemen, we are sorry for the delay in the funeral proceedings due to a technical fault. And we shall resume the service as soon as possible. And we really apologize for any inconvenience that we have caused.
You really make me disappointed. You really make me angry. Of all the new generation of undertakers, it had to be you. A stupid question like that. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do with you? Could you be more sensible for once? Do you think you could do this? You are well aware of our policy. Regardless of status and condition, everyone is treated in exactly the same way. You go there just about every day. Rows upon rows of graves, as far as your eye can see. Do you see any one grave sitting on two plots?
No, sir.
No?
No.
You park your car in two parking lots.
Sir.
Right. You don't have a car. You see, there is no room for exception.
Sir, please allow me to draw your attention to a very grave situation. My grandfather has been placed in a very, very big coffin. And right now, because the hole is too small, we cannot bury him. My family members are all feeling, to say the least, so very uneasy about the situation. And we really hope that you will show us your exceptional sympathy and understanding by allocating us another plot of land.
You're telling me that the coffin is too big.
Yes, sir. Really big.
And that the hole is too small.
That's what I've been trying to say. Too small for the big coffin.
According to the information that both of you have given me, well, several options exist. One, you simply change to a smaller coffin. Two, you change to a private cemetery. Three, you chop off the wood from the sides of the coffin. Or four, you simply remove the body and bury it wrapped in bamboo sheets. Yes, come to think of it, the fourth option does have an added advantage. You could simply donate your unique coffin to our newly renovated National Museum of History for perpetual admiration by our own people and tourists from all over the world.
Sir, excuse me?
But I don't suppose any of this sounds very sympathetic to a newly bereaved family.
No, sir, it does not. As you already know, the coffin is by the grave. I can't jolly well change the location or alter the burial in any way. The way I see it, the only way out is for you to give me another plot.
No, 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 no.
What?
And if I allow you to do that, that will be going completely against our national plan. I am sure you are aware that we are a densely populated nation with very limited land resources. The consideration for humanity and sympathy cannot outweigh the considerations of state policy.
Sir, I beg to differ. I don't think that this is the way that the government should be dealing with such a situation. Do you know how?
But wait. I think we can have a compromise. You see, I could allow you to bury your grandfather, along with a little one, an infant, perhaps, to prevent you morons from digging too close to the wall, risking the collapse in the next one. I could allow you two families to dig a larger, common grave. Your grandfather and the little one in together, cover them up, mark the standard boundaries according to the regulations. That way, both your family and the state will be satisfied.
Sounds like it could work.
Well, I don't think we have any little ones for burial at the moment.
Why did you mention it?
Yes. I think got a but got a little problem. You see, we have a little boy that's ready for burial, but he won't be ready for burial until tomorrow. You see, so if you are willing to delay your burial, your grandfather's burial until tomorrow, we will be willing to provide accommodation for him at our parlor tonight, free of charge.
No. No. No! I cannot delay the burial, and I will not delay the burial. Mind you, this is my grandfather getting buried without a hole to get into. It's not just some trivial matter like the throwing out of your trash, or the laying of bricks for your HDB flats, or the drawing of rectangles for your parking lots. No, it's none of those things. So, remind you of the situation. Right now, there are 200 people standing there in the middle of the cemetery, waiting for my grandfather to be lowered into the ground, and I can't do that because the coffin is too big. You know, if you don't give me another plot of land so that I can give my grandfather at least a decent burial, I will get all of them, every one of the 200 people there to camp out there in the middle of the cemetery until you do so. My goodness, I don't know where I got the courage to say all that. But I did, I really said it. I was so brave. So excited. But suddenly, a thought struck me. And it got me worried because I'm sure you understand how such straight talk could really get you into trouble with the authorities. But that thought only stuck on my mind for a little while, because soon after I realized that, you know what, so be it. How many times in your life do you get the chance to bury your grandfather in a decent manner? Just one. So, while I'm at it, shouldn't I do it right? Shouldn't I do it properly? If not, when my day of reckoning comes, how will I face my ancestors? So, I stood my ground.
All right. Since you lot are already gathered at the cemetery, and since the coffin has proven itself too big for the hole, we'll make this case a very special exception. Because we don't want people to misunderstand us, to accuse us as being disrespectful to traditions, as being hard and unaccommodating to even the dead. But listen, and listen well. There will be only this one exception, and no such request will ever be entertained again. One man, one grave, one plot. What? Each and every one of them will be put in a coffin that is just right. The standard size of my graves. Get clear?
Yes, sir, yes. I'll get right to it, sir.
And so my grandfather was safely put to rest in his home at last. It was a really special burial, right to the very end. It was truly solemn, grand, and so very colorful. When we arrived back at the cemetery, the size of the crowd had grown from just 200 to now 800. And to my utter surprise, everybody, media corps, the TV, the radio, the newspapers, everybody had arrived at the scene. We had made headlines all around. And the burial? The story actually made it to the top 10 national stories of the year. So surprising. Okay, not so surprising. Well, as for me, as I thought about the crowd and the presence of the media, actually, I got a little bit worried. Because I feared that the officer in charge would think that I was the one who had called them all over. And he would blame me for bringing him so much extra publicity because he gave me this extra plot of land. But my heart and my mind was soon put at ease because he was awarded a prize in recognition of the exceptional sympathy and understanding that he had shown to my grandfather's extra big coffin. He was awarded the most humane personality of the year. Well, every time I look at the rows upon rows upon rows upon rows of standard-sized graves, now, I can't help myself but to think of another problem, and this is what really bothers me a lot. Now that the graves were all of a standard size and a standard shape, will my sons and my daughters, and my grandsons and granddaughters after them, would they be able to find me and recognize me when it is my turn to be put into the ground?